Other stations are tuned in too.
Welcome to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Yes, good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on 98.3 Mainland FM. Yes, it's time for us to look through the major stories trending on the front pages of our dailies. And we have our papers here with us, The Punch, The Guardian and Vanguard newspaper in no particular order. My name is Mobola, Sandra, and I won't be doing this alone. Fuhad Saheed is with us via the phone line to give analysis to the stories that we're going to be treating this morning. Good morning, Fuhad.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much. I trust you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, a lot better.
Oh, okay, all right, that's great. All right, let's get into it. Well, there's a lot that is happening around the world. There's a lot that's also happening here in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we won't be able to have global view today later on. But Fuad, Donald Trump has won New Hampshire, so things are looking really interesting right now in the Republican Party in America.
As expected. Are you surprised?
But we need to give it to Nikki Haley though. Like, you know, I mean, the statement that came from Vivek Ramaswamy saying that of what essence is it, of Haley pushing ahead with her ambition and whatnot. Everybody, is out here endorsing Trump. So what is she still doing on the ballot?
Well, again, I think she had surpassed all expectations. So she had done far better than people had projected. I go on this how happy I've been able to.
Oh, Fuad, I'm so sorry. You are breaking. Hello? Okay. Let's reconnect with Saheed Fuad. I think we're having a network issue there. But not to worry, we'll definitely reach him back very, very soon. But those are international stories in any which way. Let's start with what we have here. We'll start with the Guardian newspaper. And of course, the major story on the front page of the Guardian, 2025 broadband target dicey as 31 states remain underserved. And that story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Fuad, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you, Sandra.
Okay, all right. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. I'm with you.
All right, so we're talking as regards the 2024 broadband target and the fact that things may or may not be looking good as 31 states still remain underserved at this time. So what we have as riders on this story: Lagos, Edo, Abuja, Oyo and Ogun states control metro network, and Alton appeals on ROW as infrastructures near end of life. Nigeria needs $2 billion to deploy new infrastructure. Ministry initiates plan to tackle low ROI, boost broadband consumption. So, with some months away from Nigeria's 70% broadband penetration target set for 2025, about 31 states remain unserved and underserved. Excuse me. A consequence of a sluggish investment in fiber optic cable deployment. So, in the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economies white paper, which is on deepening Nigeria's national backbone and middle mile infrastructure, it was cited that Nigeria's fiber links are said to be mainly owned by the mobile network operators, that is the likes of MTN, Airtel, Glo, and other players, among others. So, accordingly, as of course, looking at this now, the projection is that the construction of fiber optic cables nationwide in the country would require about $2 billion investment. Well, is this something that we should concern ourselves with, or is this something that it will be sorted? I mean, this is a lot of money that is being expended into this, and if we look at it from the angle of the fact that 31 states, and out of 31, there are some that are not served at all, and there are some that are underserved. So, what is the point of pushing ahead with this broadband construction?
You understand that if you look at the $2 billion investment, the first thing that will come to your mind is the commercial viability of that kind of investment. If you understand what I'm saying, if I want to put $2 billion into a project, for example, as you want to look at, what the benefit would be in terms of access to internet, the economy and all of that, you also want to look at the commercial viability of that kind of investment. If you look at that thing very well, Sandra, you discover that fiber optic deployment in Nigeria for now is largely done by the mobile network operators, and their concentration is in part of the country where they know they can make their money.
Their money, exactly.
So they're probably going to deploy to areas where they're sure there is a form of commercial viability for them, because these are big investments for them to lay fiber optic cable. I remember I think when Global complete their own, it took a lot of investment for them to be able to do that. Sometimes they have to go through the sea and do a manner of things to make some of these things, So Mr. WG is not really had so much from him. He's the young tech guru in this cabinet. And then you should know it very well, Sandra. There was so much that was said about him. When he was nominated as minister, not really the kind of politician we know, because really known to politics, just one tech guru, and people are thought as though be one of those technocrats that would shine bright in this particular administration. We've already done so much. Again, maybe it's too early to begin to judge the performance of some of these ministers. You understand what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to issue of technology, massive investments, and things like that. But I think to drive this conversation of broadband target and 70% broadband expansion for Nigeria, I think we have to look more at the private sector driving that conversation. The government can't do it. Let's not steal ourselves. Where the government gets money to, it has to be more of looking at how to bring in the private sector to drive that conversation and that target. It can be done really, but again, you have to look at the issue of infrastructure, where will the money come from, and then there has to be some form of innovative thinking to get these things done. And that's where Mr. WG really needs to come in and see how we can get this thing done.
Well, it's the ministry is saying that limited internet access restricts access to information, and we all know that access to internet is very crucial for economic growth, job creation, social mobility, and all of that. So
it's life,
exactly. That's where we are. That's where we are now, and that's
internet now.
This is modern knowledge-based society, and it's important for us to get the information as such.
Internet, yeah.
Thank you. So the Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, has projected that the construction of fiber optic cables nationwide in the country would require about $2 billion investment. Well, whether or not, just as Fuhad has said, maybe we should look at the privates handling this particular one for us, because that's a lot.
They are the ones that can drive it, even for efficiency and sustainable, arrangements. I think it's the private sector that can really. So far, what they have done has been done basically by the private sector. So I think we need to drive it more. Look at how government can really give incentives, partner, and see how we can meet this target. Internet is life. We're in the modern era. That's one of the most important things to people in this era.
Thank you very much, Fuhad. Appreciate that story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. The fact that 31 states still remain underserved, and from what we have here, Oyo, Ogun, Lagos, Edo, FCT rather, those are, and those are the only states that seem to be, would you say, overserved or properly served, or I really don't know. But then stories on page 6. Let's move on now. Still on the front page of the Guardian. Governor Mufwang declares 24-hour curfew in Mangu local government. That's in Plateau State, and the story is on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. So just very quickly, what we have off of this report is that Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has declared a 24-hour curfew on Mangu Local Council following the deteriorating security situation in the area. And he took this decision after consultations with security agencies, and he stated that only persons on essential duties are allowed to move within the local council till further notice. Well, Fuhad, there you go, a 24-hour curfew in Mangu. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. Plateau State needs our prayers and needs a lot of focus. Apart from the political tension in that state, yesterday, PDP legislators in the state of our assembly, I think the police have to step in and say they were in tear gas. Because there's this political tension coming from the Supreme Court appeal court varying judgment. But while all of that was happening, there was a new attack in Mangu local government, that part of the state. The Commissioner for Information was on TV yesterday. I think it was also in the situation with the authority.
Yes, it was.
Yesterday, Mr. Ashams. And basically what he said is that, look, there are still people, he calls them war merchants. That's the word used for them. That these are people who make money, who are merchants of war, merchants of anarchy, merchants of destruction, who are hell-bent on ensuring that peace is not restored to Plateau State. And at some point, from what he was saying, it sounded a bit helpless. I'm sorry, from what I was speaking, from the way he was saying it, the way he was expressing himself, it sounded like a helpless man. The government cannot be helpless. The governor, Caleb Mutfwang, cannot be helpless. As governor, he needs to do something. He needs to step up and do something. And I think in the first instance, he declared a 24-hour curfew. But more needs to be done. There's something peculiar about the insecurity situation in Plateau State that the government needs to dig into. Because you can't continue to have this number of killings. Just at the turn of the year, Sandra, on Christmas Eve, more than 200 people were slaughtered in 3 local governments, say about 5 communities. Now, people, we are still discussing that people have not recovered from that. There's a renewed attack in another part in that state. So, again, a lot needs to be done, and the fact is whether we like it or not, the current security structure of the country requires that the government cannot do it alone. It requires that the federal government also has to come into it. That was why when I heard that the National Security Advisor was going to lead the investigation to the blast in Ibadan, I was like, this should not even be priority now. There are more troubled areas in the state. As far as Ibadan blast is concerned, the governor has given his own preliminary result of the investigation. He talked about illegal miners who are brought in explosives. At that point, you think that, look, it should just be about ensuring that kind of thing does not repeat itself. But there are more troubled areas in the country that I think NSA is having, as the National Security Advisor should focus on. One of them is the north central part of the country. There's also the northwest, with serious insecurity, and then the northwest is also extending to the Federal Capital Territory. That's the north central part of the country, if you understand what I'm saying. So all in all, we are not in a very good place when it comes to insecurity in the country. It's getting terrible. It's getting very, very bad, and something has to be done. And I think we need to also focus on Plateau State, apart from the political tension. And that is the problem, Sandra. Yes. When there's political tension, people in government, when they are not settled, they are not even able to focus on the core.
Leverage
it now because there's too much distraction with politics.
Well, there is actually a lot that is happening in Plateau at this time now. Insecurity, political bubuya and all of that. So, just as Fuhad has said, can we really watch as the governor, seems helpless at this time now, if the chief security officer of the state is making some statements that may yes, in theory, exactly. Thank you very much. The story is on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on now, still on the front page of the Guardian, old corruption and saboteurs hobble new regime at passport offices, and that story is on page 4 of let's not bring some conversations here, but quite impressive is the new vigor at the NIS that has led to the issuance of over 204,000 passports backlog within a 2-week ultimatum. This laudable reform, which was led by the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubume Tunji Ojo, would, however, be incomplete without purging the NIS of old bureaucracy, inefficiency, and saboteurs. Fuhad, I was mentioning to you earlier on that Nigerians are complaining that the new automated process of application passport is tedious. It's not like it's not working. It's tedious. It's stressful, and people have to, and frustrating. Exactly. People have to, upload documents. People have to go to their local governments to get letter of, identification, and there's just a lot of documentation that's required. And there are some conversations.
It has become a problem.
It has become a serious problem. There are some conversations in different quarters that some people may or may not be intentionally making this a little bit difficult so that we can go back to status quo where you have to get officials. Exactly. So Nigeria's challenge of not issuing international passports in record time to applicants defied all solutions preferred by the past administration as interventions went downhill. So as a result of all of that, the new minister, Dr. Tunji Ojo, promised to tackle the challenge as soon as possible. But then what we have now is the fact that passport processing is a lucrative business for our NIS officers, and it is an open market, and anybody who brings a client gets a share of whatever extra is charged. You must understand that if people are desperately demanding for passport, there must be sharp practices. So if there are givers, there will be takers, and people will do anything to protect their source of income, including subverting the system. Fuad,
yes. I just hope that the recent investigation into WG
distracts,
has not taken the mind of Minister Oluwatosin from his job. Whether you like it or not, he's been more on all of those issues now than even his core job as Minister of Interior. There's been talk about the fact that I think the Code of Conduct Tribunal has invited him.
Yes.
He's had to meet with the president. There's too much talk in town about this was political adversary trying to pull him down and all of that. So I just hope that now that he's more invested into clearing himself of all of the allegations of fraudulent contracts with company that was linked to him, the other guys have returned to normal. They've gone to factory settings. I'm talking about the immigration officer guys now. In charge of passports. Whether we like it or not, we create these bureaucracies to give in for corruption. Automation makes it easy and of course eliminate tendencies for corruption. But if people like to do the same thing, the manual thing, so that they can also continue to make money from this thing. So I will understand. I think yesterday we are having this conversation that the automation thing has become very frustrating. And when it's very frustrating, they would have to now go the normal way. And in that, of course, corruption comes back again. The delays in getting passports come again. Passport that we are supposed to get. If you read the story, I think one of the people I was interviewed said that we had to, I think she started with 80,000 for what she was supposed to do with 35,000 because she needed the passport desperately.
Urgently, yes.
And then all of the information was not working, and it was the same story.
A lot of people came home for Christmas and New Year, so they came home and they said, "Oh, let's use this opportunity to quickly, get our passports done." Yes, so that was another thing that, was a serious issue. But Fuad, a retired immigration officer, Joachim Olumba, believes that some major factors responsible for the prolonged delays in the issuance of passports and all of this racketeering are the poor welfare packages of immigration officers. According to him, he said that low remuneration and poor working condition also account for some measure of the extortion that is experienced in passport offices. What do you think of this?
Everybody wants more money, Sandra. It's not just immigration officers.
I want more money.
The army wants more money.
Everybody.
The soldiers want more money.
Yes, but just be a justification.
Money. But that's not an excuse, to go corrupt, doing your job. You can have that conversation as a body. You can continue to advocate for better pay for Nigerian workers. Every worker wants more money. But that does not justify deliberately frustrating the process to make money off the people. So if you understand what I'm saying. Because that's not a terrible excuse for me. Are you with me, Sandra?
Yes, I am.
We think about money. Everybody wants more money. And luckily, I think there's a new minimum wage conversation that the agency will be getting into with the federal government very soon. And I'm sure that would also rub off positively on them if the NS is able to achieve everything as regards that. But to say because they are fully eliminated, yes, the reality is that a lot of Nigerian workers are not properly paid. We agree with that. That does not justify, frustrating the process to make money off the people. You understand what I'm saying?
All right. All right. Okay, so what about political will? Because what I also have in this report is that the Ministry of Interior alone cannot deal with this issue, that the government at the top must clear the lacuna and show intolerance to corruption, because as long as it remains cosmetic and eye service, that it will be impossible to stamp out corruption in the passport process.
The corruption is systemic. It's a systemic thing. And when it starts somewhere, it gets everywhere. I think what this statement is saying is that, look, these immigration officers are also Nigerians, and they see what happened in other places. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they look at themselves and say, look at the police. So when we keep bashing the police, we keep insulting the police, saying, oh, they are not doing their job, they are so corrupt. So I'm like, look, these guys are also part of the Nigerian system. You see what happens? For example, a policeman is guarding a politician. He sees their luxurious lifestyle. He sees how they are living. He sees the way their children are living, how they are enjoying themselves. And he looks at himself and says, look, with this my very poor pay, even if I work for the next 100 years, I'll not even be able to buy a quarter plot of land, talk less of doing anything meaningful with my life. When he has the opportunity to stay or do anything for what he doing? Because even if the man that you have given gun to, 4 or 5 of them are attached to a politician, and then you see the way the politician, maybe before election, the way he was living, and then suddenly he becomes a senator, and then cars are coming in, he's buying new houses, he's traveling here and there, his children are going from one club to the other doing ☰ and all. The man will look at himself and say, I need to help myself. You understand? So the immigration officers too are also Nigerians, and they see, how widely corrupt the whole system is, and they also would say, well, what am I supposed to do? Even though that's not enough justification for people not to do their own jobs and be selfless, but the reality is that, look, until we tackle corruption, and it's not just tackling it by theory or by just saying it, we have to be intentional about it. We just continue to say these things. People will find a way to always do this kind of thing.
Thank you very much, Fuhad. It's all right. The story is on. I
didn't know Nigerians had that. They are also reading the papers now. So when they sit at their offices and hear that 30 billion has been deployed to innovate the National Assembly, that senators are getting 150 million naira, that 3 billion is for car park, and they are also in the office reading and listening to what we are saying. So you now say there are issues passports, we don't do anything. We are just.
Thank you.
There was a time I had to do a presentation at the 𝗬ᴏ office in Lagos to some of their staff. And I told them, I said, look, to tackle corruption, you must be intentional about it. You don't have to be running after people. You first must find a way to stop the basic needs of the people.
All right.
That guarantee must be there. And what's the guarantee? Food, clothes, and shelter. Sandra, an average civil servant in Nigeria knows that he's not corrupt. If he works and retired, he's not able to do anything with himself. He can't even buy a quarter plot of land. He's looking to try and start to do something.
Thank you very much, Saheed Fuhad. The story is on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Let's keep moving now. Still on the front page of the Guardian. Very quickly, Ogun State Assembly impeaches Oluomo for alleged fraud, and that story is on page 7 of.
He said the man checked the loan in Uganda.
Is that what happened?
He
took. I'm upset that he took. They're upset that he took, and he took a loan. Is that the problem?
Some of them, we have our people in the state now.
All right, so 18 out of 21 lawmakers of the Ogun State House of Assembly yesterday impeached the Speaker Olakunle Oluomo, representing Ifo Constituency 1, during plenary presided over by the Deputy Speaker Bolanle Ajayi, APC Yewa South, and thereafter they've elected WG꞉ APC Odeda as the new Speaker. And this motion was moved and seconded. This motion was moved by Adegoke Adeyanju of Yewa North 1, and seconded by Ademola Adeniro, APC Shagamu 2. And it was gathered that They said, and I quote, "We are law-abiding legislators and we want the world to know that there has been a change in the leadership. 18 members signed for me to be the speaker. People should remain calm. The governor does not know anything about this impeachment."
At the very yet.
So the governor doesn't know about the impeachment. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, well, if you said so, we'll take it.
We are babies now.
Dᴏᴇ Sᴏ괜, representing Fᴏʟʟᴏᴡ constituency, noted that the office of the speaker is to be first among equal. And he said, and I quote, "The speaker was impeached owing to gross misconduct over high-handedness, lack of focus, transparency, arrogance, and poor leadership style, financial misappropriation, as well as inciting members against themselves." This is very interesting. Well, the man has been impeached, basically, and Mr. WH=ssOᴜ is now the speaker of the Ogun State House.
And 21 is enough quorum. That's enough.
Yes. So, well, I think we moved on because there's not really been anything from the man himself.
Some of them was that they said the man chopping.
So that's just it. It's okay.
Don't want to carry people along.
In chopping or in the work. Is it in the work trying to make things work? Is it in legislature business?
In chopping. You have to carry people along.
You're not supposed to chop alone. Yeah.
Huh?
Well, he has learnt in a very hard way, I guess. That particular story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on now, we also have here, police move against self-kidnap. What? We have gotten to this. We have gotten to this now. People are kidnapping themselves from their family members. Yes. Look at that. Just look at that. So, suspects have been arrested in Lagos, Plateau, and Abuja. And the story is on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. I really don't know what to make of this particular story. But what we have now is that the Nigeria Police Force has warned against the trend of self-kidnapping, that's false kidnapping, saying it is a punishable offense under the law. And they have cautioned the public against engaging in this particular criminal act. Because what we have now is in Lagos, a couple was arrested over an alleged self-kidnap scheme, which was aimed at... Yes, a couple. Mr. Dubara David Yabrifa, a 53-year-old technician, and his wife, Regina Yabrifa, a 48-year-old body massager, were apprehended after a family member reported the purported kidnap. So the couple confessed to planning the self-kidnap to raise 3 million naira to purchase a property in Badagry. Look at that. That's interesting. So the husband justified the act, citing financial difficulties and lack of support from relatives, and they've both been arrested and they've both subsequently been charged to court. There's another one in Jos, Plateau State, who has been notorious for staging his own kidnap on several occasions, receiving ransoms from unsuspecting members of the community. Wow, look at that. This one is not only once or twice. He has been doing it and he has been, cashing out. Well, Fuhad, what kidnapping himself for? So what exactly can the Nigeria Police Force do about this?
It's just to make people understand that, look, it's a very strong criminal act. Not the fact that you do it, it's not real, does not mean you cannot be punished. There are serious punishments for acts like this. Self-kidnap is a strong criminal act. I think because and that's why the police is telling people who may be thinking about it. It's not the first time we've had several cases where people plan abduction, self-abduction, to demand money from friends, sometimes from their religious houses or even family members. And it's just unfortunate. Because again, you can't begin to do something now come to I think now we don't start to doubt it. So you go to very hospital. You understand? I think now people will go to that extent to, I don't know, really, it's just unfortunate. But that's how bad our society has become. Morals have gone down the drain completely. So people just do things that are unimaginable. So it's good that the police is warning people that they know this is a criminal act and it's punishable by, under the law.
Thank you very much. The story is on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have here EFCC to arraign Obiano for alleged 4 billion naira fraud today.
Who is Obiano?
Former governor of Anambra.
Where has he been?
That was recorded drinking pure water the other day.
And then, you know, the man traveled and he was found in a club somewhere. I think in the UK.
It's okay, Fuhad. It's okay. It's okay.
When the day he left from governor of Anambra, he was arrested.
I mean, yes.
He was detained by the FCC. I think got his bail eventually. And then the videos appeared in him dancing in the club again himself. So the case is still pending.
Wow. That's interesting. That's almost over a year ago. Well, the EFCC will today arraign immediate past governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, before a federal high court in Abuja for alleged money laundering during his tenure. And they claim that Obiano misappropriated public funds to the tune of 4 billion naira when he held sway between 2014 and 2022. And EFCC Director of Legal and Prosecution, Sylvanus Tağır, SAN, will lead 8 other lawyers in the trial of the former governor. Yeah, that's interesting. The story is on page 3.
We are there in court, so we'll see how that goes. You know, so many cases, you know, pending before the EFCC. You know, I think on political roundtable over the weekend, we did a long list of pending cases. You know, that the EFCC says they are in view and the possible pick up again. You know, one of the very interesting ones, Sandra,
yes, please.
Is that of the former governor of Rivers State, Mr. Peter Otti.
Oh, yes.
100 billion at that time, you know. And people are saying, because again, there's a report, I think, in the Premium Time yesterday that the EFCC saying that they not said they are going to introduce the case in court again. What they said is that they are reviewing the case. But you know what, Sandra? That case is very easy to be brought back to court. You know why? The perpetual injunction from the Federal High Court in Abuja. And what lawyers are saying, that if the FCC is really serious about that speakability, all they need to do, because the case is now pending at the appeal court, all they need to do is to pursue that particular interpretation of that perpetual order at the appeal court. And once that order is vacated, the trial can continue again on Mr. Peter Otti. So many cases is not the only one. I'm just saying that one is also one case that people are already talking about. If the FCC are really serious about, you know, getting on with all cases that concern former governors.
The story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper, and we also have here Ijaw youths Pengassan set for showdown over sale of Shell's onshore assets. It's okay. Well, that story is on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper, and just very quickly, the umbrella body of Ijaw Youths Worldwide, that's Ijaw Youths Council, has warned of renewed hostilities in Niger Delta if the purported sales of Shell Petroleum Development Company onshore assets fails to follow requisite laws in line with Local Content Act. And they have warned that the consortiums which plan to buy the assets should stay clear from the erroneous process modified by Shell to further embolden the mystery of respective host communities, which Shell is famous for in its 70 years operation. Should this be a cause for concern? Fuhad,
what the host communities are saying from that report is that let the buyer beware. And what they are saying is that as we are negotiating with Shell, all these consultants coming together trying to raise money to buy those assets. As we are negotiating with Shell, also ask for their liability to their host community.
Yes.
Because in their years of operations in Nigeria, there are so many liabilities about environmental degradation, about local content management, about a whole lot of things that they are supposed to do to their host community that is not done. Some of them as a result of court judgments against Shell and all of that. So what they are saying is that you are buying. It's better you get the complete picture before you buy. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So you don't just go and negotiate maybe in one boardroom somewhere in the UK or US. And then that you must also go into the local community to dig into some of the local liabilities of this country. A lot of them are still angry. There are court judgments against them. There are issues of environmental degradation against them. So many things that they've not done for years. And that you are buying, you don't say that you're also picking that up. So let the buyer beware. That's what those communities are saying.
Well, without mincing words, the IYC is daring Shell and its collaborators to go on with the process without involving the local people whose areas these onshore assets are located, and what the grave negative impact these will cause the oil and gas industry. Well, I think this is just very straight to the point, very straightforward. Let's respect. Yes, exactly. Basically, the story is on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper. 14 minutes past 8. You are listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. We're looking through major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. Now we're moving on to the Punch newspaper and the major headline: Kidnapping epidemic. Kano, 9 others meal death sentence and life jail. And we have riders there that says Kano, Benue, and number of others committed to death sentence for convicts, says officials. IG orders intelligence gathering on abductors, kidnappers, landlords risk 20-year. Kidnappers, landlords. So before you give house out now,
you have to check.
You have to be very, very, very careful. 2 years. You know, the landlord of the house of that supposedly housed, yes, the illegal miners in Ibadan. The man is also wanted.
Yes, and he's not wanted.
Yeah. Well,
you know the story of Ibadan that he was an Okada man that rented a twin duplex. How would you rent a twin duplex to an Okada man? It means that you also know that these white guys are just
suspicious.
Doing their criminal thing. So this issue of capital punishment, I'm not with the thing you're going to say the idea of capital punishment for kidnapping. If you look at where we have gotten to now.
Commitment to applying the death sentence to anyone convicted of kidnapping in their jurisdictions. We also have the fact that officials of Kwara, Ondo, and Osun State vow to ensure the